may be able to vote or not, I'm not sure. But at the moment, we're just go through have a Z in front of your name. That way it'll sort you with people on the board on top and the people who are not on the board further down. If you have the word delegate in front of your name, change that word to Z. John Gershman, would you please take off delegate and just leave your name on? I don't know who Stephen is. It just says Stephen. I don't see a picture.
That's me, Stephen Gallant.
Okay, all right, Stephen. Fine. Hi, Josh. Okay, would everybody mute their mics, please? Now let's go to the agenda. Okay. Sorry, we had a little bit of a technical difficulties with a misunderstanding with the Independence Institute. All right, first thing on, has everyone read the agenda? All right. So before we even call the meeting to order. No, we don't have to call the meeting to order. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the special convention of the Libertarian Party of Colorado. I want to make sure that a few people are on here. David Atkin, are you here? Beatrice Sutton, are you here?
Yes, ma'am.
Amy Lundy? Is Amy here? Michael Spalding?
I am here.
Alan Heyman? Yeah. Those are the members of the credentialing committee. So the chairman of the credentialing committee is David Atkin. So welcome to everyone to our special convention. And I am going to pass the mic over to David Atkin, who is the chairman of the credentialing committee, who will have the election results.
I'm not on the call.
You're not on the call yet?
I'm still trying to get things up.
We are waiting for David Margot. The agenda should have been posted. If you have not seen it, I am going to go ahead and share my screen. Has everyone had a chance to view the agenda?
I see the vacancy committee number changed from 5 to 3.
And it's all the Secretary of State requires. And I believe that we're appointing Mr. Heyman, Mr. Joe Johnson, and Mr. John Jershman to the committee.
I was just noticing it was what I see on the screen is different from what I just printed.
Oh, yeah, I just changed it right this second. We couldn't nominate 5, but where's the other 2? And I have to sign the paperwork today for the Secretary of State. Is there an opposition to that? Any objection to it being changed from 5 to 3?
Madam Chair,
Yes, who was that?
Steve Eck.
Yes, ma'am.
I believe that per the bylaws, a special convention cannot appoint a vacancy committee that falls under the
It-
regular convention.
It doesn't matter. The law 1359 takes away those and the bylaws, and we have to appoint a vacancy committee to be able to appoint candidates to the Secretary of State if necessary.
With all respect, that is not correct. First of all, the state legislature does not have the authority to override the organization's charter. And number 2, the bylaws are explicit that the vacancy committee is the board unless a regular convention otherwise specifies.
Could you give us chapter and verse, please?
One moment. As soon as I get to the right section, I will do that. It's here somewhere.
Madam Chair,
Who just spoke? I don't see.
it's me, Karen Ann Harlos.
Yes, Ms. Harlos.
Rather than bog the convention down a bit, it only says that the board can just take care of it. So you guys can just go and take care of it outside the convention.
Okay. Thank you. Are you here yet, David? Okay, David Atkin is here now. We will proceed with the election results. If you're not muted, please mute yourselves.
I gotta get mine up. Can't see my screen. How do I see my screen?
Just minimize Zoom.
I don't see anything. This is your screen.
No, that's my screen. Oh, yeah, because you're watching Zoom. Do you want to share your screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me pause my screen sharing. Now you should be able to press on the bottom and it says share screen. I can't see a damn thing without them. I can't see up close with the glasses. I can't see. Okay.
Okay, now I've got okay, now you can,
Okay, I don't see your screen yet. If you go at the very bottom, there should be an arrow that's like a green arrow in the middle. It says share screen.
Does he not see that, Victoria?
No.
I think if I make him a co-host.
I can see Michael Fleming now, but I can't, I don't know.
Would be like here on the bottom where it says share screen.
Right.
Oh, you gotta click on the Zoom and open up Zoom.
No.
Where's Zoom?
I thought it was right here.
Okay, down here. May I try?
Sure. Okay.
And then you pick which one you want.
The whole screen, I guess.
Well, do you want this?
No.
That one? That one. Okay. So double click on it. It should bring it up.
Okay, so I'm driving.
You're driving.
Okay, sorry about the delay.
Point of privilege, David, we can't hear you very well.
Are you muted, David?
I don't know.
Yeah, you.
All right, now you sound great.
All right. People hear me? Okay.
Bit of an echo.
This is the special convention credentials report. I'm just going to let you read it here. Scroll down slowly. We had 78 delegates. Were credentialed, 58 cast votes, 5 used the ballot but did not vote, 15 delegates did not access the ballot at all. Because we collected the voter ID on the credentialing sign-up form, validation against the SOS file was very simple. "50 candidates were placed on the ballot, 12 were county commissioner, 23 were state house, 5 were state senate, 8 were congressional, and 2 were U.S. Senate candidates. 2 candidates were placed on the ballot in error. Jennifer Douglas, CD4, is not a registered Libertarian, and Herbert Myers, Pueblo County Commissioner, District 2, met state requirements but did not meet the requirements for our bylaws, which calls for affiliating 150 days prior to convention. Herbert Myers is no longer interested in the race. We did not put the RTD candidates on the race because the Credentials Committee decided that they were petitioning, they were nonpartisan, and therefore we didn't need to vote on them. Next time, I think we'll put them on the ballot anyway. 32 national delegate candidates in NOTA were placed on the ballot. And the online voting worked well. E-ballot provides flexible ballot choices, start and stop times for voting, email notification, and delegates who have or have not voted, and individual voters, all with individually tailored parameters for access. The delegates can be uploaded via CSV file, but ballots must be manually entered. Cost was reasonable. And we got a response rate of about 2% for the people who wanted to become delegates to this convention. Some actions are necessary by this convention we're holding right now. We need to accept Herbert Meyer's withdrawal. Jennifer Dugas, I guess we need a motion to remove her from the ballot. Motion to open nominations for HD 39, HD 14, and El Paso County District Attorney. And both Amy and Doug Lundy are interested in withdrawing for more active candidates. And it's been the consensus of the Credentials Committee that they should go ahead and accept the nominations now and withdraw in a week or two so that we can get them on the ballot and we can have the vacancy committee select the appropriate candidates for those two races. And late delegates and candidates imposed a significant burden on the credentialing committee and should be avoided whenever possible. We're in the process of writing a campaigns continuity binder to cover most of the situations that we ran into during the past several weeks. And I'll turn it back to Victoria. Unmute yourself.
If you would stop sharing your screen.
Oh,
I can go back to
how do I do that?
same place you were at in the bottom. Or share Chris. You know what? I can do it. All right, we're going back to the agenda. And there is a motion to nominate for nominations. Beatrice, you are here. Can you credential everyone that is here so that the delegates, so that they may vote in these nominations? What do you need for people to do for you to credential them?
Hi, I can't I'm sorry, I can't talk. Credential anyone because I was not given the spreadsheet from the SOS, so I have not seen it.
Okay, most of the people here were credentialed before, I think. Is anybody here that did not get credentialed prior to this call? Or anyone here who was not a Libertarian by January 27th of 2019?
I have not been credentialed as far as I know. This is Jeff Crow.
Jeff Crow, what is the date of your registration?
I don't know, but it's been a couple of years at least. So I don't have the date handy. I've been a member of the Libertarian Party of Colorado for almost 2 years, I think. At least 2 years, maybe.
Okay. I think you have been. I can probably look it up.
I'm not sure what credentialing means in this context, then perhaps I'm confused.
In order to be able to vote at the special convention, you have to have been allowed to vote at the previous convention in 2019.
Okay, well, I didn't attend last year, so I don't know if...
That doesn't matter. You would have had to have been eligible to attend and vote then. So January 27, 2019 would have been the registration date, continuous to today.
So, well, I've certainly been a registered Libertarian and registered in Colorado for at least that long. So.
Okay. Anybody else here that was not credentialed prior?
This is Bert Dunn. I don't think I was credentialed prior. And I don't know if I meet the requirements either.
David, can you look up Bert Dunn in the CRM?
If I can figure out how to unshare.
Okay, hang on, I can do it.
Is it possible for these people to do the Go Vote Colorado and then share their screens to show it?
Oh yeah, that would be perfect. If you could go to Go Vote Colorado and look your own voter registration up and share it on the screen, that would be awesome. There's only 2 people, right, that have not been credentialed before, or anybody?
Erickson.
Brandon,
Yep.
you weren't credentialed?
I don't think so, because apparently I typed my stuff in too late because you sent me the email that said I was too late. Or does that mean I'm okay for this?
Oh, you're okay for this.
Okay.
You were too late to vote on the election, on the e-ballot.
Madam Chairman, this is campaigns, and Mr. Crow's registration date is 11/28/2017.
Perfect.
The other one we're looking for is last name Dunn. Mr. Dunn, could you please give me a first name and a spelling real quick?
Formal first name, Albert, Albert. Last name Dunn, Dunn.
Just 1 second here.
My name is Don Guggenberger. I am on that SOS State Co-US page, and I have a screen that I can share if you need that for my affiliation date.
Please do, because I don't want to spell your name.
What's the best way for me to do this? Share
When
screen?
you're
Over on the bottom, it'll say share screen.
Yep, it wouldn't
Madam
let me
Chair.
know it's blocked. Here you go. See that okay?
It works.
It works.
Yeah, 3/28/12 is a long time ago.
Yep.
Not long enough. I should have done it a lot sooner.
Mr. Dunn's registration date is 5/28/2013. He is credentialed.
How do I turn mine off now? Stop share?
Yes.
There you go.
Anybody else that was not credentialed?
And sorry, what do I need to do anything different now? I'm just in there as Z Don. If you
No, you're just fine.
Okay.
Yep.
I just
mute,
want to make
please.
sure that only credentialed delegates will be voting. Everyone that's a credentialed delegate will have a Z next to their name.
There's somebody who's calling in. Can we tell if they're credentialed?
Who is that person?
Area code 928.
That could be one of our national
That's Alan
representatives.
Heyman.
Oh, that's okay. Excellent.
Yeah, he's actually here.
So nobody else needs to be credentialed?
I don't think so. I think everybody else was.
What about
Excellent.
CCP 73?
Where is that? What are we looking at?
Look at maybe page 3. We have a person logged in as VCP 73.
VCP 73, would you identify yourself? VCP 73, could you identify yourself?
You may have to unmute yourself.
I tried unmuting them. I can't unmute them.
I guess they'd be fine as a non-voting attendee at that point. Any votes of nay would have to be disregarded.
Okay.
Madam Chair, may I speak to the Duke?
For front of your name, please. Hang on, DG.
Sure.
Ramon, would you add a Z in front of your name?
Ramon would not be a credentialed delegate.
Oh, he's not. Okay. Then
Credentialed candidate, not delegate.
Okay. He wasn't a registered Libertarian by January of last year?
Brief spell ending on the 28th after you were elected chair, Madam Chairman.
Okay. Ms. Benson? You were credentialed before. I think we've got everybody.
Did I get included?
You were credentialed prior, yes? I believe you have, yeah.
I'll look that up right now. I can't remember if there was a lapse. Did you get mad at us at one point and unregister, Regan?
Yeah.
So it wouldn't have been continuous, so you wouldn't have delegate status if.
But it was before. No, it was before.
Okay,
Right.
let's see. Let me go check the date here. What was January what of 19, Victoria?
I don't know, January 27th.
Oh, God bless you, Regan. Oh no, you missed it. Party affiliation date 4/21/2019.
Oh man. All right.
But you could still be on the call, of course.
Okay,
Of course,
thank you.
and please stay on the call.
This
Okay.
is Catherine Taylor. I don't think I've been credentialed, but I don't want to clog you up sharing screen if it's not necessary.
It only takes a second if you have it up, otherwise we have to look you up.
Yep. No worries. Let me
Yeah.
let me see if I can find you here, Catherine.
Oh.
There's going to be a few more Taylors in here, but I bet I can drum you up.
Oh, yeah. It's 10/19/11.
All right, 1 second. Let's see. I'm not seeing you in here, Catherine. I got a Kaplan and a Kalivas. Is there another first name, another legal first name?
No, there shouldn't be. Let me click on this. Is that sharing?
I mean, yes, perfect, thank you.
Okay.
For 2012, that is longer than 2019, perfect.
Groovy.
David, we found a hole in the database.
Stop.
Hey, Victoria, I don't think I was credentialed either.
Who's that?
Mike Quinlan.
1 second, Mike, I got you.
This is Mark Montoni.
I have it up.
Oh,
Eric
perfect.
Tony, you're credentialed.
Yeah, I'm saying I can also do lookups.
Oh, perfect.
There's that. You guys see that?
Oh, he's on the database twice. His registration date is 1/7/2014.
Perfect.
Madam Chairman, as it was relevant to the previously discussed topics, may the campaign's director speak to the Dugas disqualification?
Go ahead.
I just wanted to make this clear, folks, because I think just folks should be able to know. We did our due diligence. There's a couple of different of Jennifer's that could be in there. She had a name change over the last year. There are 2 different addresses. We could have gone off of those. I put in every combination I could with zip codes and the SOS, went through our stuff, could not find anyone. And then I asked her, I've communicated with her back and forth. I asked her to please give me a screenshot and we'll make sure this is taken care of. And this was days ago, and she's refrained from doing that after bouncing back and forth. So it's of the choice of the campaigns committee that because the candidate did not do their due diligence, that they must be disqualified.
Thank you. Question, what was the percentage of votes that she received? Was it less than, did the other candidate receive more than 50%?
Madam Chairman, I don't have that in front of me. I got a bunch of other screens with what we're doing right now.
I think
I can find that.
Thank you. Yes, if database could take care of that for me, I'd be most appreciative.
Thank you, Mr. DG. I am going, please, everyone, would you mute yourself? I hear noise in the background.
Madam Chair, I think you muted yourself.
I sure did. Thank you. Mr. You had some nominations from the floor that you wanted to take care of for people in El Paso County that we did not have a candidate. Would you please go with the first one?
I'd like to hand that to Mr. Hirschman, who is board member.
I
And
was
has
speaking with Mr. Hirschman, Mr. DG.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry.
Would you mute yourself? Mr. Hirschman, would you unmute yourself and go ahead with the nominations that you had submitted? John?
My ears.
There you are.
Okay. Should be less echo when I have my ears on.
Yeah, if you would do one at a time so we can vote on each one.
Yes, we should start with perhaps House District 14.
There is no current candidate for House District 14.
So I'm nominating David Anderson Thompson in Colorado Springs.
Any other nominees for House District 14? David Anderson is a nominee for House District 14. If anyone opposes that nomination, would you please speak now? Are there any opposed to the nomination? Without any opposed, it would be unanimous that he would be the nominee. Next one. And would
Next one.
Send the page,
Sorry.
and would you please send the information over to credentialing as well?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
What information?
His name and all that stuff, or you already sent
Oh,
that?
that's been done. They have a document that I sent them.
Oh, perfect. So what's the
Okay.
next nomination?
The next one would be House District 39, which is in Teller County. The nominee who I'm nominating is Bonnie Sue Pyle, P-Y-L-E, who lives in Florissant.
Is there any opposed to the nomination? Are there any other candidates for House District 39? Anyone else want to be a nominee? I don't hear any. Is there any opposed to Bonnie Sue Pyle being the nominee for House District 39? Please speak now if you oppose this nominee. Without any opposition, Miss Bonnie Sue Pyle will be the candidate for House District 39. Any other nominations, Mr. Gershman?
Yes, I have a nomination for nominee for Colorado Springs Attorney General. His name is Warren Duryea Price. He lives in Colorado Springs.
District Attorney?
Yes. Isn't that what I said?
You said Attorney General. I just wanted to.
I'm sorry, you're correct. The district attorney.
Is there any other nominee for district attorney? They would have to be an attorney in El Paso County. I don't hear any. Is there any opposed to having Mr. Warren Price as the nominee for El Paso County District Attorney? Please speak now. Without any opposed, Mr. Warren Price will be candidate for District Attorney for El Paso County. Are there any other nominees for any other races? Any nominations from the floor for any other races that were not with a candidate at this time?
Madam Chairman, this is John Pickerel.
Yes, Mr. Pickerel.
Would it be possible to put up a list of which nominations have already been elected so that we can know where the vacancies are?
Mr. Atkin, can you do that, please?
Sure. Let's see. Can you all see my screen?
Yes. Could you make it bigger, the Excel spreadsheet, so we can see the full list? Thank you.
Madam Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Pickerel?
Is this list, the names here, are we to understand these are the ones that have already been placed in, or already been elected to nomination as a Libertarian candidate?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a candidate for District 47 House?
No.
John Kyle, who I believe he put his name in for Congressional District 4, lives in State House District 47. If you'd like, I can contact him since it looks like we've already chosen our Congressional District 4 candidate, somebody else. I can see if he's interested in 47.
If we could nominate him, elect him, and if he does not accept the nomination, he would not fill out the affidavit to accept the nomination.
Okay.
So if you want to nominate him from the floor, go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to nominate John Kyle for House District 47.
Mr. John Kyle for House District 47 has been nominated by Mr. Pickerel. Is there any opposed to having Mr. Kyle as candidate for House District 47?
Wait a minute.
Yes, Mr.
He was elected for U.S. House District 3.
He's already been elected, Mr. Pickerel.
Okay, I'll withdraw my nomination.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Madam Chairman, Vice Chair Mulder speaking.
Yes, Mr. Vice Chair?
Are we accepting nominations for Colorado Senate right now?
No, there has already been a nominee and an elected person or two.
There's a district that's vacant and I would like to open up a nomination if I can.
For state
House, not federal, Victoria. The state,
for,
not
for
federal.
state Senate?
Yes.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
For State Senate District 28, I would like to nominate my father, Michael Mulder.
There is a nomination for District 28 from Michael Mulder. Is there any other nominees for District 28, State Senate District 28?
Do we know he's a credentialed Libertarian?
Yes, my father is a registered libertarian as of, I am pulling that date up now, as of May 17, 2017.
Perfect. Are there any other nominees for that?
And my father is largely agreeing to do this as a placeholder. So in the event somebody else wants to, I can get him to withdraw.
Thank you. Are there any other nominees? I don't hear any. Are there any opposed to Mr. Mulder being our candidate for State Senate District 28? Speak now. Without any opposed, Mr. Mulder will be the candidate for District 28 State Senate. Any other nominations for any other open races? And by open, I mean for any other races that do not have a candidate who has been elected. I would also like to ask every person on this call who is a delegate or who isn't a delegate and is eligible to run for office, if you would check on your voter registration and see if your House district, your Senate district, or any other race that is a partisan race on your voter registration is not filled. I would really appreciate if anybody here would like to run for any one of those races that has not been filled, if you are in that district or in that area. Would you please check your voter registrations and volunteer if you would?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Montoni.
where is the list of our elected delegates posted for the election results?
For the national
Convention.
delegates, that is up to the credentialing committee.
The list of national delegates is in the voting list on the LPDA page.
I might add that everyone who applied to be a national delegate got in with over 90% of the vote.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
this is Betty Rose.
Betty Rose Ryan. Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to let you know that my husband and I have tickets to the National Convention and we are going and we would like to be delegates.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Your sound is distorted, Karen Ann.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
I would like to nominate Betty Rose Ryan and her husband if we have available delegate seats for delegate, and if not, as alternates.
We do have available seats, but since the voting has to be done via written ballot, we're not doing nominations for national delegates at this time. We can fill those positions at the I believe.
Well, I think the board can.
Yeah.
Well, in any event, I encourage the board to seat Ms. Betty Rose Ryan and her husband.
Thank you. There was also a request by Mr. Joe Johnson to be a national delegate as well, and by somebody else.
I would add my support to Joe as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we can deal with that with the additional delegates. We have 3 slots for delegates. We have 50 slots for alternates, so I don't see how anyone would not be seated. Has everyone looked at their voter registrations and seeing if there's any race that you might be able to run for? I would really like to have as many candidates on the ballot as possible. Right now, we have over 50 candidates, which is pretty cool, especially given the circumstances that we had over the last couple months that have not been most favorable.
If that is an actual question rather than rhetoric, I am in the process of finding my registration districts.
Perfect.
West Pinchot.
Who is this?
West Pinchot.
West, perfect. It is an actual question.
Brandon Erickson, I am State Senate District 1. Doesn't look like somebody's on the list for that.
Is State Senate District 1 up for election this year, Mr. DG? Or who else could, anybody else on the?
Yeah.
You could tell us.
I'm looking up Mr. Pinshaw right now, Victoria, if somebody else can look that up. I don't think that's one of the ones up this year. Alternating 4 years.
Is State House District 6 have someone already?
State House District 6. David Atkin, could you please see if State House District 6?
District 6, State House 6 is always up every 2 years.
Well, no, do we have a candidate for that?
No, we do not.
We do not have a candidate. Would you like to nominate yourself? Jeff?
Sure, why not? I could nominate my wife. How long has your registration been valid? Oh, nominate myself, that's fine.
Okay, Mr. Crow has nominated himself for State House District 6. Are there any other candidates for that race?
Just spell your last name.
Crowe. I don't hear any other nominations for State House District 6. Are there any opposed to Mr. Crow being our candidate? Speak now. There are no opposed. Mr. Crow will be our candidate for State House District 6.
Madam Chairman, speaking to Mr. Pinshaw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
His State Senate District 31, his State House District is 9, if Mr. Aiken could look that up. Like I've got windows upon windows.
Yeah, I'm on my state webpage showing that. And apparently there's a lot of other districts. I don't know, for boards of education and things like that.
Yeah, CU regions, Board of Education, those are all up for election as well. Or not all of the CU regions, but some of them are. So
are those my Senate and House state districts available? 31 and 9?
Mr. Aiken, I believe, is looking that up.
Let's
see here.
And Congressional 1.
Yeah, we do have a candidate for Congressional District 1. That would also be your CU region, though.
I see Mr. Crow has his hand raised.
Sorry, that was a question already answered. I'll lower it.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Pickrell.
Going back to John Kyle, who I think somebody made a statement, he was nominated for Congressional District 3.
Correct.
He lives in Otero County. I thought Otero County was in Congressional District 4.
You don't have to be a resident of the district to be a congressional district candidate.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah.
And that only applies for federal offices.
You probably are.
Madam Chairman,
You're unmuted.
David Atkin. I have a list of state Senate seats that are up this year on my screen.
Okay, and which ones do we have candidates for? I think that's the biggest question.
Let's see.
And Mr. Solomon has his hand up.
Yes, Madam Chair. I'm in Senate District 26 and I would self-nominate.
Is Senate District 26? Yes.
We need a candidate for that.
Are there any other nominations for Senate District 26? I don't hear any. Are there any opposed to Mr. Solomon being our candidate for Senate District 26? Without any opposed, Mr. Solomon, thank you so much. You are a candidate for Senate District 26.
Madam Chair, may I have 15 seconds?
No, but you can have 20.
Bless you. I just want anybody who is going through a nomination tonight who has not had a previous contact with us and was on the ballot that was sent out, please email me, campaignsdirector@lpcolorado.org, so I can get you onboarded ASAP, because we're in a 4-day window right now to get all of our ducks in a row for our candidates. And I'd like to be working with y'all sooner rather than later.
Please copy me as well. If you would, that way we can get it right now and start doing the part that I have to fill out. Mr. Solomon, your hand is still up. Is that all you had?
That's all. Thank you.
Okay, Michael. Z. Michael, parentheses board, who is that?
Who do you think that is, Madam Chair? Legislative Director?
Okay, would you take the Z off of your name? Because if you're not on the board, you have a Z in front.
Okay.
Okay, you had your hand up. Would you please speak?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm out of order or not. Just a point of information. I was curious looking at the vote totals. Is it my understanding that the U.S. Senate race is going to go to a primary ballot?
I don't know how that works. That would be a question for.
That is my understanding, Mr. Stapleton, and I have an email out to the Secretary of State just to make sure that that is the case, because I believe a simple majority does not do it.
Correct. It's 30% of the delegate vote gets you on the primary ballot.
Yes. So, yep, we should be secure on that. And I know we have our aversions, but I would like to remind everybody that one-on-one in-person campaigning is out, and this is going to be instantaneous advertising to nearly 50,000 people this year at a time when we are going to have a very difficult time getting face-to-face at outreach events, etc. So this could be actually a very incredible time for media, etc. And I'm very excited.
Thank you, Mr. DG. Z. Don has his hand up.
Hey, I thought I heard somebody mention that they were wanting to go in for US or for the State House 9. And I thought that may have gotten missed in the process. I didn't see it.
Oh, yeah, that's, I'm Wes Pinchot. I'm in that district. I could at least be a placeholder.
Mr. Pinchot is nominating himself for State House 9. Is there anybody else for that race? Any opposed? Please speak now. Without any opposed, Mr. Wes Pinchot is the candidate for State House 9.
All right.
Anybody else?
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
which Senate districts are we still vacant?
Mr. Atkin, would you show which Senate districts are still vacant?
Okay, just a second here.
In the meantime, wasn't Brandon Erickson looking for a race?
Brandon Erickson.
Oh, I just threw my name out because I saw my district wasn't listed, but it's because it wasn't up for election. I guess we had the conversation that you don't have to live the place, but
You don't have to live in the congressional districts to be a candidate for that district. But in the state house and state senate, you do.
okay.
Are there any other races that you maybe would be able to run for?
I think the other ones I'd be eligible for are filled.
What county do you live in?
Albert. So I'm like State House 64, which was Tom Olmsted.
Right.
And then state.
Do you
Senate wasn't
happen
up.
to know what your county commissioner district is, Mr. Erickson? Because those vary from year to year. They're staggered, but there's
It's number one, but I cannot figure out. I've been trying to, this whole time we've been talking, I've been trying to figure out like when that election is, and I'm either too dumb or.
No, believe me, I have been through just about every county recorder site, and I want to throttle nearly all of them. Yours is not an unfamiliar experience.
There is a way to figure it out. If you go to the Secretary of State and you go to candidates and go to Tracer and start filling out Tracer, and then you click on county race, put in Albert and then the down button, it'll tell you which ones are up this year. In the Tracer website, actually.
Tracer, you say?
Madam Chair, were we able to find the vacant Senate seats?
Mr. Atkin was looking those up.
On my screen is a list of all the state Senate seats that are up this year.
Okay, and which ones do we not have a candidate for?
We do not have anybody for Senate 4, Senate 8. Just a second, let me look at the spreadsheet. We have candidates for 10, 12, 23, 29, and 4. So we do have somebody for 4.
So 8's the only one we're missing.
So it does look like Albert County Commissioner District 1 is up, if I read this correctly.
If it was the last election was 2016, it would be up this year.
Yeah, and then there's a guy listed on here as Republican for 2020 that it says campaign status active. So
Okay, perfect. Would you like to be candidate for Albert County Commissioner District 1?
Sure.
Excellent.
Are there any other nominees?
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Pickrell.
it sounds like Senate District 8 is open right now. Angela Plummer, I believe, lives in Senate District 8, if she's not already a nominee.
She has asked to be removed from everything. I'm not sure she would be willing.
Okay.
I
We
don't.
vote on Brandon.
Brandon Erickson, are we going, we have not voted on that yet. So we were on Brandon Erickson, yes. Are there any other candidates for County Commissioner, Albert County District 1? No other candidates. Are there any opposed to Mr. Brandon Erickson? Yes. Being the candidate for for County Commissioner District 1 in Albert County. Speak now. Without any opposed, Mr. Brandon Erickson is our candidate for County Commissioner District 1. Any other candidates for any House districts, Senate districts, county commissioners, regents, Board of Education, etc.?
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Pickrell.
is State Senate District 18, 19, and 14 already filled?
18, 19, and 14, are those filled, Mr. Atkin?
I don't believe so.
In your spreadsheet, you could probably make your spreadsheet big and see.
Senate districts?
Senate, yeah, state Senate districts.
Senate districts, we have 4, 29, 23, 12, and 10. Plus tonight we've added 28, Mr. Mulder, and 26, Mr. Solomon, I think.
So those are all open.
All right, I would like to place the following names into nomination.
Okay.
Lance Psycho for Senate District 18. Brendan Wark for Senate
Hang on.
District 19.
Would you do one at a time?
Yes, we'll start with State Senate District 18, Lance Psycho.
There's a nomination for Mr. Lance Psycho to be for Senate District 18. Is there any other candidates for Senate District 18?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Stapleton.
I don't believe Lance Psycho is registered Libertarian any longer.
Thank you, Mr. Stapleton.
I will look that up. I lost my database screen.
Okay, well, let's go with the other ones while Mr. Psycho is, while we're verifying Mr. Psycho's eligibility.
Okay.
What was the next one, Mr. Pickrell?
State Senate District 19, I place Brandon Wark's name in a nomination.
Brandon Work is a registered independent.
Okay, 0 for 2. And State Senate District 14, I would like to place Adam Shukneck's name into nomination.
Would you spell that last name?
Shuknecht.
Isn't he running for,
Yes, that's what I was going to say, David. He's already on the
District?
ballot, John.
Okay, all right. Can't blame me for trying.
Appreciate the effort, sir.
Is Kyle Work on the, a registered Libertarian still? I think he lived in the same address as Brandon.
Shuknecht is on the ballot as a delegate, isn't he?
No, he's not.
How is his
Yeah,
last
as a
name spelled?
delegate, but that's all I think.
Madam Chair,
No, different person you're thinking of, John.
Sorry.
No, I think he's not either.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Montoni.
what was how do you spell the last name of the individual you were just referring to?
W-R-K.
W-A-R-K, all right, I can look that up.
Kyle was the first name.
I'm not seeing anybody with that name spelling.
Didn't think so, but I thought I'd check.
There's only a Brandon Wark.
Is he still registered Libertarian?
The Brandon Wark?
Mm-hmm.
No, it says registered party, former Libertarian.
That's what I thought.
And as for Mr. Seiko, Madam Chair, I believe that would have to be looked up online because I think our lag from getting a refreshed database from the state, I think since the last one that we got, Lance said that he had re-registered elsewhere.
That's what I thought too, that Lance had left us.
Madam Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Pickrell.
Can we do the same thing for the House? If you can tell me which ones are vacant, I have a list of names and what districts they're in. I could look them up and see who's available.
Awesome. Michael Stapleton has his hand up and Z Don has his hand up still. Michael Stapleton?
That was an error, Madam Chair. I didn't mean to have my hand up.
That's okay. Z Don. Hand was up. Did
I
you?
had forgotten to take it down from before. Sorry about that.
Okay, that's quite all right.
It's down now.
all the House districts are up for election. We just have to see who has, if you look at this spreadsheet that is on the board, Mr. Pickerel, the spreadsheet on the screen, those are the ones we have candidates for. And the other ones, all of the state House districts are up for election this year.
Okay, if we can just leave that for a second, I'll copy those vacancies down and I'll start doing some lookups.
Perfect. Anyone else on this call would like to nominate themselves for any,
Did we decide Lance Psycho is not a libertarian?
right. Mr. Montoni, you had a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering where the, I'm not trying to be rude when I'm calling out to you, but if there's a button to raise my hand, I'm not seeing it on my screen.
Yeah, I don't see it on mine either, but maybe it's because I'm one of the hosts.
I think you go to reactions down at the bottom, and it's one of those, I believe.
It's under participants.
Oh, is it? I'm sorry.
It's under participants, okay.
Go to participants, hit your name icon, and then raise hand will be an option.
All right, thank you. Found it.
Bennett, did you have something to say?
Yes, I wish to offer my name as treasurer.
We're not doing board elections right now. Are you talking about treasurer for Colorado?
Okay. My apologies.
That's quite all right. Anyone else nominating themselves or someone else for any state house districts, county commissioner districts, state senate districts, Colorado Board of Education, CU regents, any other elections that are up?
Madam
District
Chairman?
attorneys? Yes, Mr. Pickerel.
It looks like we don't have anybody for House District 1 through 13. And apologies if,
With the exception of 3.
okay. David, are you a candidate for anything?
No,
Would you be interested in House District 2?
no.
I love you, David.
House District 4, Mike Quinlan. Would you be interested in House District 4?
Yeah, no, I can't do it.
Okay. House District 6, Kyle Furry, would you be interested in House District 6?
CD1.
Okay, strike 4. Is Raymond Doan already a nominee?
U.S. Senate primary.
Okay. Eva Kaczynski, is she a nominee?
Eva is not, but if Mr. Psycho has in fact resigned his position, I expect that Eva is going to have to be taking the workload of Boulder County. So you might want to talk with her. Eva, are you on the call?
Because she lives in House District 12.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to place her name in a nomination for House District 12.
I think she'll probably accept being a placeholder at least.
Yeah.
There is a nomination for Miss Eva Kaczynski for House District 12. Are there any other nominees? Any opposed? Please speak now. Without any opposed, Ms. Kaczynski will be our nominee. for House District 12. Now we have to see if she'll accept the nomination.
Okay. And I have another, if I still have the floor.
Go ahead.
Stephen Gallant, would you be interested in House District 24?
He is RTD.
Okay.
Stephen Gallant?
But let me do speak to this, Steve. I don't know what your full intentions with RTD are, but Eric and I are tossing around what we do with collecting ballot signatures right now, because it's very, very funky in this world. So if you wanted to switch, you could certainly switch based on that being such a ridiculous pain in the ass this year.
For now, I think I'll plan on RTD.
And Ross Clough is in the same position.
Yep.
Great. What about Mike Spalding? Is he running for anything?
He was elected.
This is true.
We have cursed you once more, Mike. We have cursed you.
Okay, Madam Chairman?
Yes.
As membership director, I've gotten all the those interested in running for office. And for House District 9, Karen Schneider expressed interest via our website for House District 9. Karen Schneider.
Karen Schneider for House District 9. Are there any opposed? Are there any other nominations for House District 9? Any opposed to Ms. Schneider being our candidate for House District 9?
Didn't we just put Wes in that spot?
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
We have somebody in that spot.
Okay.
Yes, State House District 9. That's me.
Yeah, Mr. Klopp has his hand up.
Yes, couple of things. For now, I'm gonna stick with the RTD, and hopefully this CV outbreak stuff will calm down quick enough for me to get the signatures, but I am definitely concerned about that. I have a nominee for House District 24, Scott Helker. He said he was interested before, so I think it's pretty likely that he should be still interested in it.
There's a nomination for Mr. Scott Helker for House District 24. Are there any other nominations for House District 24? Without any other nominations for House District 24, are there any opposed to Mr. Scott Helker being our candidate for House District 24? Speak now. Without any opposed, Mr. Scott Helker for House District 24.
Unleash the beavers.
Any other nominations? Mr. Pickrell, you said you had a couple more?
Yes.
Point of information. Joe Johnson just texted me and said he spoke to Eva Kaczynski just now, and she's not going to accept the nomination.
Okay, what was that?
12.
What race was that? House District 12?
12, yes.
Is there any other candidates for House District 12?
Yes, ma'am. Jeremy Clymer had put in an inquiry for running for office. Jeremy Clymer for House District 12.
Jeremy Clymer for House District 12. Is there any other nominations? Any opposed to Mr. Clymer being our candidate for House District 12? And does he qualify? I don't know the name.
And how do you spell his last name?
Climer.
I think we might have called him and didn't get a call back, but we'll knock on his door again because if he qualifies for this nomination, John.
Okay, and there was a second interest in this House District race too, so we do.
What's the other name, John?
Jason Van Sickle.
Mr. Van Sickle actually moved out of state shortly after he submitted that request. It was quite some time ago.
Okay. And I have 3 nominations or 3 people interested in House District 13.
Okay, let's vote for Mr. Clymer first before we move to the next one. If he qualifies, is there any opposed to Mr. Clymer being the candidate for House District, what was it, 12?
Is that Jeremy Clymer?
Yes.
On CBCRM, I don't see him as being registered libertarian. Of course, I don't know how long it's been since that was updated, but he's not there right at the moment.
Might be why he didn't call me back.
I see David talking, but I can't hear him.
David, go ahead.
The Secretary of State's information on our database is current up through February 18th of this year.
Is that updated on the CRM as well, or just on the database?
It's on the CRM.
Okay, so if he's not on there, he's not.
Yeah, he would have had to have been registered by what, 150 days before this, which would put it back in December or late November, I guess.
Well, if he wasn't in February where that database is from, then he doesn't qualify. Okay, the next nomination, Mr. Pickrell, because apparently House District 12, he does not qualify.
And John, we do appreciate your effort here. I think a lot of these people were touched by either myself or Alan in the last 6 weeks or so.
Okay, I can either keep going or not. It's your discretion.
Please keep going. We'll go with the nominations and we can check them and
Okay.
if the nomination, we'll put them on.
Okay, next would be House District 13. I received 3 people interested in that. The first one was Daniel Lutz, L-U-T-Z.
L-U-T-Z.
I can speak to that one. I talked to Daniel Lutz about a month ago, and he's absolutely not interested in being a candidate. It's mostly because of his job. He can't be associated politically because it might affect his job. So I can definitely speak to that.
What's the next one?
Thomas Atkinson, A-T-K-I-N-S-O-N.
He's running for somebody right now, I think.
He's running for Congress.
Okay, and the third one is James Gilman.
Which district? 13?
House District 13, State House District 13.
James Gilman, G-I-L-M-A-N.
Correct.
Does he qualify?
G-E-L-M-A-N, John?
G-I-L-M-A-N.
G-I-L. Thank you, sir.
Does Mr. Gilman qualify?
What was the first name?
Stand by. James.
James. Let's see here. I got a couple of them.
Yes, he qualifies. He was affiliation dates in 2016.
Perfect. Is there
Thank you, John.
any other candidates for House District 13?
Should we vote on Gilman first?
Well, that is the House district we're talking about, right?
Oh, right.
So if there's any other candidates for House District 13 that qualify? Apparently not. Is there any opposed to Mr. Gilman being our candidate for House District 13? Speak now. Without any opposed, Mr. Gilman will be our nominee for House District 13. Go ahead, John. What was the next one?
House District 27, Corey Schaefer.
Is Corey Schaefer running for any other races?
I don't think so.
Why is that name so familiar?
Corey's one of the ones that I called too. I left a message, but I never responded. Got a response from him. So if he can reach out, that would be great.
I had the same results before you called him too, Alan.
If you'd like to reach out to him, we could vote on him, give him the nomination, and then if he doesn't sign the affidavit, he wouldn't be our nominee. Or the acceptance of the nomination. Is there any other nominees for that race? Done.
No.
Is there any opposed to Mr., what is his name again?
Corey Schaefer.
Was there any opposed to Mr. Schaefer being our nominee for House District 27?
Is it 7 or 27?
27.
Okay.
Any opposed? Speak now. Without any opposed, he would be our nominee if he accepts it. Anybody else?
House District 30, Ryan Eccles.
Are there any other candidates for House District 30? Other nominees? Any opposed to Mr. Eccles being our nominee for House District 30? Speak now. Without any opposed for House District 30, Ryan Eccles will be our nominee should he accept the nomination. Next.
House District 32, Jason Chapman.
House District 32, Jason Chapman. Any other nominees for House District 32? Without any, we'll proceed to the vote. Jason, what was his name? Chapman?
Jason Chapman.
Jason Chapman. Are there any opposed to Mr. Chapman being our nominee for House District 32? Speak now. There are no opposed. Mr. Chapman is our nominee for House District 32, should he accept the nomination. Any others?
House District 34, James Tribert.
Tribert?
Yeah, Tribert. I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
He says it Tribert. So I'm going to go with his pronunciation. James Tribert for House District 34. Any other nominees for House District 34? Any opposed to Mr. Tribert being our nominee for House District 34? Speak now. Without any opposed, Mr. Tribert will be our nominee for House District 34 should he accept the nomination.
Could you spell that, John?
T-R-E-I.
T-R-E-I-B-E-R-T.
Thanks.
He ran for mayor up in Thornton, I think, last year.
Mr. Pickerel, since Alan Heyman and myself have already reached out to most of these people, would you be willing to reach out to them to make for the people that are in absentia?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
On James Tribert, I have him in CVCRM as a former Libertarian.
Okay, we do have a second person that was interested in that district.
Who is that?
Alyssa Pina.
Spell the last name.
P-I-N-A.
Alyssa Pina.
Yeah.
Did you look her up, please? Any other candidates for that race? Should Alyssa Pina accept the nomination? You said that James Trubert is a former Libertarian? So Alyssa Pina, is there anybody opposed to Miss Alyssa Pina being our nominee for House District? Was it 32?
34.
34.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
just point of information, her registration date was 4/23/2019.
2019, so that's good.
I'm sorry, I take that back. 06/08/2019 was the party affiliation date.
That's fine.
150 days would be fine. Yeah,
Yep.
that works. Is there any opposed to Miss Pina being our candidate for House District 34? Speak now. Without any opposed, she will be our nominee. Should she accept the nomination? Mr. Montoni, go ahead.
Wait, can we spell Pina?
PINA is how it's spelled. And yeah, I'll lower my hand because that was my point of information.
Thanks.
Pina.
Pina as in pineapple, that would have a little squiggly line over the end.
And also her first name is spelled AYLISSA. So it's like Alyssa.
Thanks.
Any other candidates?
House District 35, Jennifer Neckerud.
Jennifer has declined to run this period.
Okay. House District 38, Salome Anna Kendagor. Kendagor.
Spell that one more time, John.
Kendagor.
Looking her up now.
And what was the first name?
Her party affiliation date is 02/03/2016.
Okay, that works. So we'll spell, what is her name again?
First name is Salome, SALOME, Anna, ANNA, Kendagor, KENDAGOR.
Salome Kendagor for House District 38, yes? Are there any other candidates for that race? Any opposed to Miss Kendagor being our candidate for House District 38 should she accept the nomination? Speak now. Without any opposed, Ms. Kendagor will be our nominee should she accept the nomination. Any other races?
House District 44, Brian Meyer.
Any other candidates for House District 44? We have Mr. Ryan Meyer. M-E-Y-E-R or M-A-Y-E-R? Or
M-E-Y-E-R.
M-E-Y-E-R, Ryan. R-Y-A-N?
Correct. Or no, Brian, B-R-I-A-N.
Brian, B-R-I-A-N, Meyer. Are there any other nominees for that race? And it's House District 44, correct?
House District 44, correct.
Are there any opposed to Mr. Brian Meyer being our candidate for House District 44 should he accept the nomination? Speak now. Without any opposed, Mr. Meyer will be our nominee should he accept the nomination as long as he qualifies.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
his affiliation date is 7/10/2017.
Perfect. So he qualifies. Thank you. Brian Meyer, District 44. That is our candidate. Should he accept the nomination? Any others?
House District 52, Richard Wrona, Wrona.
House
I,
District,
no, I spoke to Richard Rona already. He was considering a congressional race. He has his reasons why he would not do a state house race already determined.
Okay, I have a second candidate for that House District.
okay, who's that?
Christian Bernaza.
Too
Christian,
young,
how old is he?
22 or 23. He's not 25. He's also a regent candidate if you look.
Okay. House District 54, Emily Ernston.
Spell the last name?
Ernstsen.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
pronounce her name Ernstson, and she's a local member here.
Okay, does she qualify?
Let me check.
She does check. I had spoken with her previously, and I don't know if her intentions had changed on that. I don't know if we had success in a second contact unless Mark has spoken with her.
No, I've had a couple of follow-ups myself, and I have not heard back from her. I believe, yes, she is, her party affiliation date is 10/16/2018.
Well, she qualifies. Should she accept the nomination, we can, is there anybody else for that race? Well, since we have nobody else for that race, let's vote on it. And if she accepts the nomination, she would be our nominee. Is there any opposed to pronounce the last name, please?
Ernston.
Enston being our nominee for House District 54?
Correct.
For House District 54, are there any opposed? Speak now. Without any opposed, should she accept the nomination? She will
No,
be
that's 55.
55?
That's what it shows for her record, yeah. Unless I misspelled her name.
Okay, we need somebody for 55 as well.
All right, so for House District 55, should she accept the nomination? Is there any opposed in her being our candidate? Speak now. Without any opposed, should she accept the nomination, she would be our candidate for House District 55. Please record that. Next.
House District 57, Paul James.
What's the first name?
Paul.
Paul.
Yes.
Isn't he already?
Paul's already an elected representative. That might be, you'd have to talk to it because he's already on a town council, so.
Okay. Next would be House District 59, Leroy Hawley.
H-O-L-Y?
Holley.
I spoke to Leroy directly and he said that he's not going to be able to do it this term. I spoke to him on all levels.
Okay, Madam Chairman, that concludes all the names I have.
Is there any other nominations from anybody else on the floor?
Point of inquiry, Matthew Hess.
Go right ahead.
Wondering if we have anyone for Weld County District 3.
For which county, District 3?
Weld.
David, would you please check the list? Do we have somebody for Weld County District 3?
No, we do not have anybody for Weld.
Matt, are you talking about commissioner?
Yes. So I would like to go ahead and add my name to the list as a line holder for District 3 in Weld County.
Are there any other nominations for Weld County District 3? I don't hear any. Is there any opposed to Mr. Matthew Hess being our nominee for Weld County District 3 County Commissioner? Speak now.
Are we sure that's up for election?
I'm looking at trying to get that data up right now as we speak, and the window
really
turns.
But let's go ahead and continue, and if it's up for election, we can put that name on it.
Madam Chair, this is Legislative Director.
Mr. Stapleton, go ahead.
Yes, Weld County Commissioner, District 3 is up for election this year.
Thank you very much. Is there any opposed to Mr. Hess being our candidate to Weld County District 3 County Commissioner? Without hearing any, Mr. Hess will be our nominee, our candidate for Weld County Commissioner District 3. Thank you very much, Mr. Hess. Any other nominations from the floor? Anybody want to nominate themselves or someone else? I do not hear any other nominations. I'm going to call one more time for any other nominations. Without hearing any, that concludes our nominations for candidates for the ballot for 2020 in Colorado. Somebody was saying something?
Yes, this is David Atkin. We have a couple of items that we haven't taken care of that were on my my list, if I can find it here, about removing or accepting removal or something of was it Herbert Myers for Pueblo County and Jennifer Dugas and CD4.
Herbert Meyer for Pueblo County removed himself.
Okay.
There's no need to do anything with that. Jennifer Dugas does not qualify. Is there any opposed in removing Ms. Dugas from the ballot since she is not a registered libertarian? Speak now. Without any opposition, she is removed from the ballot.
Thank you.
Anything else that we have to go through, Mr. Atkin, with the credentialing committee?
I don't think so. I think that's it.
I was going to add appointment of the vacancy committee. Apparently, it is against our bylaws to appoint someone other than the board as a vacancy committee. Makes no sense to me. So I guess we remove that from the agenda. What say you?
So are we going to have 11 or 9 members on the vacancy committee then? Those have to be listed on each and every form.
May I speak to the topic, Madam Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Seebeck, go ahead.
Oh, this is Mr. DG.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I totally lost that thought. My apologies. Retract.
Mr. Seebeck, would you speak to the topic, please?
Well, I posted the citations in the chat earlier. The vacancy committee is by default the board of directors unless the convention, regular convention delegates appoint somebody else. We are a special convention, not a regular convention. Therefore, we don't have the authority to make such an appointment.
Mr. Stapleton, would you please speak to the topic? I thought that House Bill 1359 would allow us to do this. To appoint a vacancy committee should this convention appoint someone else. You know this law inside and out.
What was the question again, Madam Chair? I stepped away.
Does House Bill 1359 allow us to take away our bylaws and appoint our own vacancy committee and not have the whole board and call this because it's a special convention and not the convention because at convention we are allowed to do this, but at a special convention, apparently we are not. Can we appoint a vacancy committee other than the whole board to be the vacancy committee?
That piece was not actually specified in the language in the amendment on the bill. So,
okay, here's the next question. Can we, at this special committee, decide to appoint a different vacancy committee, even though the wording, the precise wording on the bylaw says the convention and not the special convention?
I believe in that circumstance, because it's not statutory, I believe that would revert to to our bylaws as to what it says about the vacancy committee.
Well, it says that the convention can appoint a vacancy committee. It does not say the special convention can appoint. Is it a big deal? Is Ms. Harlos on the thing?
I believe they had an LNC meeting to get to.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we can't, and we have to have the full board, is that correct? It
Does
sounds,
the fact that it's on the agenda make any difference?
it was on the agenda for the special convention to deal with. What does the special convention ruling read? I believe it's 8, section through 4. Mark Montoni, you have your hand raised. Would you please go ahead and speak?
Yes, I think I might be able to help on this. Generally, the law rules, unless the law is silent and moves to the bylaws, then the bylaws rule. In our case, the special convention is not specified in the law, so we have to go with whatever our bylaws say. And my suggestion for a way to get around this is for the board to simply appoint an advisory committee that would do the search for vacancies and make recommendations, and then the full board can simply take it up as a normal item of business to adopt that same recommendation.
Now, when I'm reading the special conventions, and I think I'm sharing my screen, I'm not sure if I am. Do you see that?
You are.
It appears that we are able to do this as long as it's ratified at the next convention.
That's not true.
Madam Chair, as a person that you were planning to appoint to be the vacancy committee chair, I really am fine if it's just an advisory role, as long as we get these spots filled. I'm sure it really doesn't matter. So we can just make the phone calls, do whatever we got to do to figure out who's going to be who these candidates are going to be, and then we'll just submit that to the board, and the board can vote.
Okay, so we just have to fill in 9 names on the list. Okay. So we're going to take that off the agenda, since the board has to be the vacancy committee, and I will move to appoint Mr. Heyman, Mr. Joe Johnson, and Mr. Jershman as a advisory board to the board to fill our vacancies, if there is no opposition.
Madam Chairman.
Yes, sir.
The form that we fill out for the vacancy committee, on the back of each certificate of designation by assembly, has only 7 places. I'm sure we can attach a list of people. But that was my big concern. I don't have anything else to say. We need to have something to fill out on this on the vacancy committee form fairly soon.
Are you talking about the fill-in section that identifies who the vacancy committee is?
Right.
Yes.
I believe there's a box on there that says a vacancy committee was not selected. It's outlined in our bylaws how that will be done.
Okay, yeah, we could do that. It says, and I quote, "The assembly did not select vacancy committee members. Any vacancy and designation for the office on this form will be filled per party bylaws," unquote.
Boom. Bob is your uncle indeed.
Perfect. Let's do that. Thank you. I believe that we have nothing else on this assembly. We will move to our board meeting.
Point of information real fast.
Yes.
What was our total number of candidates nominated?
Prior to this meeting, we had 50 candidates and 2 withdrew, so there were 48. And then we've added, I don't know how many.
Madam Chairman, I'm showing we added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
So we have 56 candidates at the moment.
No, we've added more than that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I count. I'll read them to you. House District 14, Thompson. 39, Pyle. Colorado Springs DA, Price. Senate District 28, Mulder. House District 6, Crow. Senate 26, Solomon. House District 9, Pinchot. Elbert County D1, Erickson. 24, Helker. 13, Gilman. 27, Schaefer. 30, Eccles. 32, Chapman. 34, Pina. 38, Kendagger. 44, Meyer. 55, I can't pronounce her name, and Weld County Commissioner was Hess. So there's about 17.
Awesome, very good. Is there anything else in this special convention? I don't believe so.
Madam Chairman, point of inquiry.
Yes, Mr. Pickerel?
Will the campaign director be setting out what the nominees need to do in the next 4 days to get their paperwork in? Is there any actions the nominees have to take in the next 4 days?
Oh, yes. John, we will absolutely be touching base with the nominees over the next 4 days. For those who have not filed with Tracer, you need to go to the Secretary of State Tracer website and you need to fill out your candidate affidavit. After that, they're going to give you a period of 7 days, I believe it's 7 days, to fill out your financial disclosure, which is just simple questions regarding property, debt, stuff like that.
While you're at the Secretary of State website, also fill out your candidate acceptance letter.
Yes.
It has to be sent back to campaigns and to the Secretary of State. I believe that there's a email that was already composed that will be going out to every candidate that will be a nominee.
Yes, and we will make sure that all that paper, that you have all of your necessary paperwork within the state guidelines. We have to make sure that we have 4 days, so at the very latest, these need to be in at 11:59 on Friday night. to the Secretary of State. Please send all of these forms to me at Campaigns Director so that we can look over them and make sure that you don't have to, that we don't send them in. You have to do it twice and everything can be accepted with no issues. But we will be absolutely getting in touch with every single one of you through email or phone calls. And if we don't hear, we'll call you once. And if we don't hear from you, don't see your paperwork, we calling you again on Thursday because we want to fill this ballot and we want you guys to run and we want you to give it a go, be the best libertarians you can. And I will be doing Zoom calls with candidates in groups so that we can bounce ideas off of each other and we can help you market yourselves the best and even maximize the $0 campaign to the best of our abilities.
Thank you, Mr. DG. Mr. Mulder had his hand up.
Yes, Matt, for my dad, I'll be the point of contact for him on that. I'll make sure he gets all his forms. Just hit me up. You've got my info.
Thank you.
No problem, Eric.
Is there a motion to adjourn Cindy?
One quick thing, John, to answer your question more directly, I have an email that's already prepped and ready to go out to candidates. If I can't get all the emails for the ones we nominated this go around, like I'm sure we can get those emails from the database or whatever. But if we don't have them, you can probably just forward the email to those candidates when you're calling and getting back to them.
Okay, thank you. Who is talking?
This is Alan.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
There is a motion to adjourn, and I believe it's a motion to adjourn without a future date. Cindy.
One sec, quick question as a recently nominated candidate. This is Jeff Crow.
Yes, Mr. Crow.
Do you have the information you need to contact me to get me the information I need or help me do what I need to do?
Please email campaigns director at lpcolorado.org. I just replied. Okay. If you would. Mr. Francis Wendt has something that he would like to say. Mr. Wendt, go ahead.
You might be muted, Francis.
You're gonna need to unmute yourself.
I have a double mute system, so yes, that's what it was. So yes, I apologize about that. I appreciate for the time, Madam Chairman, to address the delegates. I just want to say that I am running as the Region 1 representative for the LNC, and what I'm wanting to do is to provide affiliate support, candidate support, and getting libertarians elected in the Western United States, because that's what Region 1 is. So please consider me in whatever form the National Convention will take, and I do appreciate your time and your consideration. Look me up on Facebook, and I am more than happy to talk to each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Wessel.
Francis.
Outstanding job as our Region 1 alternate. So I'm not endorsing anybody, but I do know that you've done a really good job. So
Don't take it personal, Francis. She doesn't endorse anybody.
that's true. I don't endorse anybody ever. But I do thank you for being here and for supporting our special convention. I believe that there was a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
The convention, the special convention is now adjourned. Cindy.
Bless you all. Stay healthy.
Now, our board of directors meeting starts now.
Oh, you're not getting off that easy, Matt.
So read and approve agenda, 1 minute. Has everybody had a chance to look at the agenda for the board of directors meeting?
Yes, Madam Chairman. I totally got lost in everything I was doing, and I needed to add the visa proposal to the agenda.
The what proposal?
The visa proposal from when we spoke to Nicholas on the phone the other day.
Okay, can that be during your time?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I believe since we just had our special convention. We don't need to introduce every one of our guests. Are there any affiliates reports for any of the Colorado affiliates? Arapahoe?
The Libertarian Party of Arapahoe County has nothing to report on at the moment. We did have 3 candidates who were nominated at our county convention to run for county commissioner races. As of right now, we have 1 because our District 3 candidate, Kevin Gulbranson, has been successfully nominated for Colorado District 56.
Thank you very much. Boulder.
Wait, other than that, we'll be holding in-person meetings as soon as we're able to again.
Thank you very much, Arapahoe. Boulder County. Denver. El Paso.
Yeah, this is John Jerson with El Paso. We were asked to look for a potential replacement for Doug Lundy, and apparently I overshot the mark a little bit. But I have to announce that we got an outstanding response of people who are willing to step up and be at least placeholders for Congressional 5, and I'd like to recognize them all by naming them, if that's all right.
Yes, go ahead.
We have Violet Watt from Florissant, Andrew Verminski from Colorado Springs, Jessica Senior Peterson from Callahan, Matthew Jensen from Callahan, Miguel Calles from Colorado Springs, Daniel Smith from Colorado Springs, Alexis Bushman from Mexico, Sean McCormick from Colorado Springs, Robert Bentley from Colorado Springs, Scott Meyer from Fairplay, Timothy Harris from Callahan, Kurt Murray Camera from Elbert, Bonnie Davis from Buena Vista, David Withridge from Manitou Springs, Heather Johnson from Colorado Springs, Edward Duffett from Colorado Springs, and Bonnie Pyle from Florissant. And these are all people that responded positively to a request for candidacy for Congressional 5. I think it's awesome.
Power. Okay.
That's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Jershman.
Really happy that nobody had any problem with the ballot.
Somebody is
speaking
in the background.
A lot of extra candidates that we got to do now. Me and DG were talking while this was all happening, and like.
Hey, Alan, I think you need to mute yourself, buddy.
I thought I unmuted.
You're unmuted.
Did I fix the problem?
I don't know. Did you mute him? I think so.
By the way, Alexis Bushman from Mexico is one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life, John.
All right, next, Douglas County. Do we have anything to report from Douglas County? Wayne, are you still on? Okay, did I miss any other counties? Jefferson County. Is there anything to report from Jefferson County? Ross? Okay, LNC report. I guess we already had Francis on here.
Chairman, Pueblo County.
Oh, Pueblo County, sorry. Go ahead, John.
Our next meeting is May 19th. Obviously, with everything going on, we haven't had meetings the last couple months. And we're hoping to have Michael Stapleton and Leslie Hollywood down for an update on legislation as well as the red flag gun bill. On May 5th, we have the Pueblo West Metro District local election. We actually have 3 candidates from people that have been attending our Libertarian County meetings. Herbert Myers, whose name you heard before. Joe Mahaney and Jim Maggard. All are strong fiscal conservatives. And so it's nice to see we have 3 candidates for the 2 open seats.
That is awesome. Anything else?
Did we skip public comment?
Elbert County, we've already passed public comment. Who was asking about public comment?
It was Mike. That's fine.
Okay. Mesa County? I know that Mesa was on here a minute ago. Are you still on?
Sorry, I stepped away. What was the question?
Is there anything to report for Mesa County or next meeting? Any news announcements?
Well, we had a new meeting location as of January, and it is looking like the establishment's going to be out of business after all this is over. So we're going to be looking for yet another place to meet. So that's where we are at the moment.
Wow, that really sucks. Elbert County, anyone from Elbert? I know their meetings are suspended until further notice to when we're allowed to go back out. And I think that is all of the affiliates. Unless Wayne is back, I don't know. Nope, I guess that's it. Okay, we are going to move on with the officer reports. And as chairman, I do need to add a couple things to my report. I would like to say, I'm hearing a lot of echo. I don't know if everybody's hearing this echo. Okay. As chairman, I would like to add something to my report. I would like to, first of all, thank everyone who has stepped up to run for office this year. It has been really amazing to see how many people have actually stepped up to run for office. For those who have stepped up to be national delegates, I thank you for that. I also want to give a special thanks to Alan Heyman, Joe Johnson, Bruce Griffith, sorry, Kevin Gilbranson, who have helped a lot with the campaigns committee. Also David Atkin, Beatrice Sutton, Mike Spalding, Amy Lundy, and Alan again, who also stepped up with the credentialing committee to be able to make this special convention happen, to make to have the ballots ready so that we could do this. It has been quite challenging to have to reschedule convention twice to try to get this to happen. And I am very, very happy to hear so many people have stepped up. The other thing that I want to thank is all of the people that donated their ticket purchases or part of their ticket purchases to the Libertarian Party of Colorado. It has really been, it just means a lot to us. And thank you so much for your continued support. That's all I had to add to my report. Vice Chair?
Nothing to add to my report. Just want to state on a personal note, I am very grateful to my dad for being willing to be a line holder candidate for us, like at the literal last minute.
Yes, thank you to Mr. Mulder. Treasurer?
Yeah.
Mr. Jirschman?
I apologize, but I should have added to my report what you mentioned. You know, how many people donated their refunds or part of their refunds, and I forgot to do that. I'm not prepared to do it at the moment, and I apologize. I'll email it to the board.
Fundraising is vacant at the moment. We are seeking for a new fundraising director. Campaigns, Mr. DG.
Folks, I do have some things to add there. If you go into your emails, you'll see that I sent a regular email to the board with an addendum regarding what some changes are that Mr. Heyman and I are going to be working on. And then you will also see in the confidential, I sent you a private quote from someone who many of us know, Nicholas Vieser and his group, Liberty Link Media. I'll get to that second. I'd like to speak to the ideas, and I do respect our time. I think we're all exhausted right now, so I'll try to do this as quickly as possible. I may have to ask for an extension. The changes that I have recommended that you'll see in there are something that I believe is going to change the culture of the way that we run elections in the Libertarian Party of Colorado. The goal needs to be to get people thinking about this early rather than the last minute rush. And I do know there were some failures on the part of the previous director, and I can't claim to not have any blame myself. But what I do believe we need to do coming forward is the primary goal is to get people filed early. And we need to get them, after that point, we need to get them into a centralized contact location. So anything we can discuss with them, we can all do from one place. So I'm going to be looking to make a Slack group for all our LPCO candidates so that we can centrally speak with them from this point forward and use that as a mechanism to make this contact easier so that we don't have to make call upon call and email upon email. And that we just pick these people up along the way. And if we keep them engaged, chances are that they will stay as candidates. And I think that's going to be a primary goal to institute going forward here. As far as the other thing that I sent you, I sent that to you late. I apologize, but that's because I want to make a motion to seek funds for this project. And I Is Ms. Bushman on the call, Madam Chairman?
I don't see her.
So we're at a weird place right now, everyone, where until maybe July, I don't think that we're going to be able to do much person-to-person outreach. We're kind of stymied on that. And that's, where we would kind of start building some steam for our candidates and talking to folks and getting the ball rolling. Considering that, I think what we need to look at is taking those funds that we might have allocated towards outreach and the ideas of that, and we need to be placing it into mechanisms where we can communicate with people from their homes. Within that proposal that you'll see, Nicholas Vieser and Liberty Link Media are a very reputable company in the Liberty movement as far as doing high-class professional videos. They do work for YAL. They work directly with the Roger Bears campaign, and I was involved in that. And despite any feelings you have about the performance or otherwise, the videos were fantastic that Nick put out for that, and they are incredibly professional. Well, they can't go and speak with people one-on-one either to film these videos. So they're transferring over to building these videos from our directions from where they're at. And they're offering a really good deal. What it would be is an initial ad for us that would be, it would be $750 for this. And it could be a 30 to 60 second spot. Pardon?
Your time is up.
Move to extend 3 minutes.
Oh, wrap it up.
Okay. And what the goal with this video is going to be, it's between 30 to 60 seconds. And I've sent a brief outline to you guys about what I would like to address in it. And we'll get that content really cleaned up. But this video is what we'll be able to do is with our investment of $750 to produce this is something we can put out on our Facebook, on our website, and otherwise is it going to be a great promotional tool for us as we could be really the ones standing tall as all of this calamity's gone around us. And off of that $750, what we would be able to do is our candidates would then, for an investment of their own $250, could then have that same video for them, but customized with their name and their information that they can put on their site and their Facebook page. So what we're going to be able to do here is invest in something that could help grow and promote the party. And it will also be something that our candidates can then utilize for a much cheaper cost to them to help promote themselves. So this is definitely going to be a big pay it forward kind of thing. So what I'm motioning to the board is approval of the cost provided by Nicholas Vieser, $750 for our investment, and to follow those specific points that I'd like to see addressed in that video.
All right, so there is a point to this, Mr. I remember speaking with Mr. DG, and the thing is, he will make Mr. Vieser will do the video for $750 for county commissioners. And the first one would be $750, and all the rest would be $250 per county commissioner. So the motion would really be to approve $500 because I'm willing to pay the $250 extra dollars to do the first one for my campaign, and then the other county commissioners can do theirs for $250 as well. Is that the motion you want to make, Mr. D?
Is that how the math works, Victoria? Because we need $750 for ours, and then each is $250 subsequent.
So we'll do mine for $750, and I'll pay the $250, and then everybody else that wants to do it would just have to pay $250.
Okay, so you'd be asking for $500, so that it would be $500 from the board.
Is that the motion you want to make?
Yes, $500. Motion for $500 to get a video produced by Liberty Link Media.
There is a motion on the table for $500 to get a video produced by Liberty Link Media. Is there a second? Was there a second to the motion by Mr. DG to get a video produced for $500?
Remember your mute buttons.
Am I muted?
No, no other people.
Oh.
Second.
Thank you.
Are there any opposed?
I'm not opposed, but can we see a sample of their work somewhere?
Victoria is begging. John, anything that you saw put out from Roger Barris was done. The videos were done by Nicholas Vieser. They're working with YAL. You know, they go to them. If they're good enough for YAL, they're good enough for us. I go with association. I've seen his work. I apologize, didn't get that forwarded to you. This has been madness, but guys, I'm promising you, this is a great promotional tool, and these guys are professionals.
Okay, the Roger Barris stuff looks pretty good.
Yeah, it was.
You said very well done. Just 500, right?
Yes.
$500 is there's a motion on the table to approve $500 for a video by Nicholas Vieser. And there is a second. Is there any opposed? I'm going to unmute all. Please speak one at a time.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
because I don't know how many board members are here, could we have a roll call vote so we can verify that we actually have?
Absolutely. We do have a roll call vote. Go ahead. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Don't we need to do a little more discussion before we go to vote?
I thought we already discussed for about 5 minutes.
Well, this is Steve Gallant here. I have a question too. How many candidates is this for?
It could, it could be for how many ever county commissioner candidates want to piggyback off of it. The reason that I say, and I'm not saying other candidates might not have the opportunity, Steve, but this is going to be very much set on that localization aspect, where these people can speak to their own about what they've been dealing with on a personal level. And that's why it's county commissioner, but it can be any of them. We can just roll that video off because they just have to change some of the names on the type and all that throughout the video. That's all. It's pretty simple for them to do the edits, so that's why they can turn that over quickly and cheaply.
Go They would just add to the end is what they explained. So it would basically be usable by any candidate if you want to do this. So are there any other questions?
I'll just say that I've worked with various campaigns and we've used videos, and the number of views that we get is rarely in the double digits. It's just not worth it.
Who was this?
That is Secretary Mike.
Mike. Okay, thanks.
Madam Chairman? Let me just say, Mr. Spalding, that this is a very, very different year, and digital reach out and some other things I'm going to be presenting are going to be absolutely necessary. We have to be thinking forward, not backward in our methods.
Okay, are there any other questions? Any other comments? And Mr. DG, would you please raise your hand before speaking? Yes, Mr. Spalding, your hand's still up, or did you just forget to lower it?
Forgot to lower it.
All right. Any other commentary? All right, we will proceed to a vote, and I'm going to do it by roll call. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Treasurer? John, I think you're muted.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Yes, sorry.
Did you vote yes, or were you muted yes? Is that your vote? Yes?
That is, I'm sorry, that is my vote, yes.
Fundraising, we do not have a current fundraising director. Campaigns is in Mexico.
Yes.
Oh no, outreach is in Mexico. Okay. Affiliates.
Yes.
Legislative.
Yes.
Membership.
Yes.
We don't have a communications director at the moment. Secretary.
No.
With one no and the rest yeses, I believe the vote passes. All right. Is there any other motions, Mr. Campaigns Director?
No, ma'am, there's no other motions at this point, but Mr. Heyman and I will have a presentation for the May meeting.
Mr. Affiliates Director, your turn.
Let's see. The Jefferson County will be meeting virtually on Thursday at 7 p.m. I'm looking forward to getting back to real meetings, and I'm still waiting on Freedom Fest, the one at the Jefferson County Fairgrounds. The guy hasn't gotten back to me yet.
Thank you very much. Membership? Oh, sorry, legislative. Mike?
Yes, the only thing that I just need to add as a report is I'm sure everybody has heard by now that with the suspension of the legislative session, there was several court filings. The Supreme Court ruled that when the legislator comes back into session, they will be able to complete the number of days unfulfilled. They do not have to adjourn by the second week of May as normal. So we will have an entire half of a legislative session, no matter how long it goes into the summer.
Oh, fuck. Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Stapleton. Membership.
The only thing I have to add to my report is for the next newsletter, when we set the deadline for submitting content, the idea was to do it the week after the convention. Obviously, the convention has been pushed back for a week. So we are extending the deadline for all you affiliates and all you fellow directors to submit content to the newsletter. The new deadline now is this Friday, April 17th. I really encourage you to do that. The newsletter is bearing good fruit, but for people to read it, they're going to want to know what's going on, especially affiliates. So they're going to want to know what's going on in their area. So even if you can give us one sentence summary of what's going on in your affiliation, that would be tremendous. And campaigns, if you could give a list of all our candidates, I think that would bear a lot of fruit too.
Thank you very much. Communications is vacant. Secretary,
I have nothing to add to my report.
standing committee technology, database,
I got nothing.
welcome committee. Mr. Montoni, are you still with us?
Sorry, I wasn't really paying attention at the moment, but.
Is there anything welcome committee would like to add?
No, I was going hot and heavy there for a little while with member welcomes. And then last couple of weeks, I'm kind of distracted with a tiny house project with my son, so I have nothing to add.
Okay, thank you. Campaigns committee, I guess we've just went through all of that for the last couple hours. Is there anything to add? Guess not. Issues committee.
Nothing at this time.
Unfinished business, we have none. New business, there is Miss Petty stepped down as communications director due to personal reasons. And Mr. Joshua Lallement, I don't know if you're here on the phone, has agreed to be our interim communications director. We would need to have a motion and a vote on that if anybody would like to make that motion. Actually, I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any opposed, or would you like to do a roll call vote? Any opposed? If you are opposed, please speak now. Without any opposed, the motion passes to have Mr. Lallement be our interim communications director. The motion for the online campaign has already been done. I believe that is it, unless there is anything else. Mr. Atkins has his hand raised.
Yes, I don't think we read and approved the minutes from the last meeting.
David is correct. Can we vote to approve those? I make a motion that we approve the minutes as brilliantly written for March.
Second.
Are there any opposed to approving the minutes as brilliantly written for March? Without any opposed, the motion passes. Minutes are approved. Did I forget anything else? I thank everyone for being here. I believe there's no other motions happening. I see something on the chat. I don't know what this is. Thanks for everybody for being here. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Before that, wait.
No.
Wait.
Go ahead, Jen.
I thought we were going to do officer elections.
No, not at this time. It's not on the special conventions.
You're stuck, John.
You're stuck.
Oh, okay.
Somebody steps up.
Thanks.
Sorry.
As soon as we're open back up again, we'll promise we'll do everything we can to get you out of office.
Well, you can resign if you'd like to.
No, not an option.
Willing to step up at this time.
You can leave anytime you find somebody better than yourself.
I know he found somebody. That's why he's wanting the officer elections to happen.
Well, Bennett had offered to replace me.
Well, if there was a vacancy, we could have the board appoint him interim until the actual convention.
Frankly, I'm not that desperate to leave.
Okay.
That's
so
fine.
Until then, there was a motion to adjourn and there was a second. Without any opposition, this meeting is adjourned.
New record.
We did it.
Minutes.
Thank you, everybody.
First online convention in LP Colorado history. We have made history today.
Yes.
Good night, everybody.
Think how much money we'll save doing it this way every year.
Ooh, I didn't even have to get dressed or wear a suit today, so I'm happy with that.